Check 1 2, check, okay. Okay, check 1 2, check, okay. In the white room, there are circles in the white room. In the white room, there are white rooms. Baby, hey yo, what the deli? Camera up. Hey, hey guys. Let's do this. I gotta figure out what. Yeah, look up what a MUMM-RA looks like. What does a MUMM-RA look like? I'm James McLennan. Hey, what's going on? I'm James McLennan. James McLennan. That's fucked up. Like, you shouldn't say that. You shouldn't say stuff like that. What's up, Brunson? What's up, Hater Nation? No, what's up, Hater Nation? Oh, wait, I do it like his angle, though. What's up, Hater Nation? Yeah. I do have a Cash App. Should not do such a thing. What's up, man? How you been? How you been since Thursday? Hope you're doing well since Thursday. As for me, try to get page 4 pencils done since, I don't know, since Wednesday, I think, when I started it, and I only got half of it done. I still haven't, I've only gotten half of it done. I want to work on it, finish it, and then start the stream, but I just kept staring at the page, and I was like, fuck, let me just go on stream. I gotta do something. Bronzy, you've been sick. Hope you get better. I've been inking the same page for like 3 days. All good now, I think. Oh, okay, good. Getting sick sucks. Page. Oh, you're doing pickles? You're drawing pickles? I hope I can get my page 4 done. I hope I can get, what's the date today? I hope I can get all the pages done by next week. Or this week coming up. Oh yeah, I should use the other lines. Bob always has to, Bob always comments on the pixel thing. We'll just change it up. But you gotta do what the white people tell you to do. Oh, now I forgot what lines I use. 109 low? Let's see. Page 4. Oh, we're doing the same motherfucking page. What's up, Bob? What do I comment? You trailed off. Haha. I forgot what the hell I was talking about. Oh yeah, this you kept mentioning, harping about the the pixelated brush I was using. And so it got me overthinking. I was like, well, I gotta let me appease to Bob. Because if I don't appease the Bob, he starts screaming. I don't want him to scream. So I use this non-pixelated brush. It is still pixelated though, isn't it? Oh, I guess it goes up. I mean, it's anti-alias. It's alias. Nah. I was trying to stop the screaming. The scream I just scrumped. The thing with the whites is that if you keep you keep making them scream, they call the police. I don't want the police being called. I think I can go into this already, but she found me. Was able to see some. There's some people posting. Posting X-Men progress. That's cool to see. Always cool to see. Love seeing them shits. He looks scared. He doesn't look angry. I don't know if you saw Brunson, but Cole is leaving podcast but outside. They just played his they uploaded his last episode some days ago. I watched the beginning of it, but I didn't finish it. Then I want to watch Godzilla still every night. Every night I keep thinking to myself, like, I should watch it before I go to sleep, and I never do. It started office hours. Oh, the this week's episode? I forgot who was on. Oh, it's Colin Mooney. That was a good episode, yeah. I wish I wrote down like who suggested what on these on the suggestions for this stuff, but I didn't. Why isn't he like the thing I fucking have in my goddamn motherfucking head? How come I don't know how to motherfucking draw? Hey, draw. It looks like he's snoring. I didn't see anybody on yesterday on Discord. Where'd everybody go? Now, where'd everybody go? Is this it? Do we need to add more shit? Oh, I had some. Saw Philip in there by himself for a bit. Oh. This is the end. This is the end of Discord chats. I guess what you should say is, oh, you know what? I want to use underlining. Underlinings. I think he obligated himself to be there for Superboy's 2 questions on Friday nights. Oh, okay. What do I look up? Uplight. I would have joined, but I felt like shit. Once, I don't know if you saw it, but I opened up. Recommendations for backgrounds for the online art jam. Backgrounds. Bob posted a bunch. So we'll use that. But as always, we'll go back and forth with the grid and grid 1 week, next week, picture background. I think that's what we're gonna do. Because some people like the grid, some people like the backgrounds. I thought a compromise would be to have them go after one another. There's probably some people that still don't like that. Let's do the Lupin background. Yeah, I got the Lupin. Another way to procrastinate. Yes, very good. Yeah, I put up a Lupin with him in the car, and then Bob had another dropped in another Lupin in the channel. Everybody Lupin. Everybody want to do a Lupin. I don't know where else to go. Okay, we're gonna do the OKARUN. OKARUN. Oh, was it? I watched the beginning of it. I watched the beginning. I forgot how far I got into it. I saw the insurance part, and then there's like 3 statues. I think that's it. That's all I saw. I probably got in maybe less than an hour in. I watched it, not bad. I was spoiled by the Miyazaki ones that hit me when I was a kid. Maybe I don't have to. I rented one and watched Goemon's Blood Spray. That one was great. So many Lupins now streaming. Is that his eyebrows or what? What the fuck? Oh, okay. That one probably has my favorite Lupin. Butt spray. Where'd you get it at? YouTube 3.99. Mm-hmm. Speaking of 3.99, I canceled the Spotify subscription. The Amazon, the YouTube one. 'Cause my brother has YouTube Premium, so the music is free. So I'm just gonna use that from now on. Okay, he has no ears. What the fuck? I don't know where this head is. It's on a site I use, but the subtitles are messed up. Oh. Well, what's up with that villain? Why is he your favorite? Why is they your favorite? Time to draw KARAS. He basically a durable guy with two axes that he keeps in holsters. Oh, yeah, that does sound cool. God damn, they fucking picked the most complicated shit. Another another design here that I'm copying, but it looks different. Oh yeah. The fuck? Oh my god, I don't know which one to use. It's just for fun though, so who gives a fuck? I asked Kevin about Koki and he said he grew. Oh, he did. You know, I just saw that right before you sent that to, like the same day. You watch that all the time. Did he do such a thing? Cookie. Okay, this is much smaller though. Damn it. Up here. Fucking Koki. Where's HH? We need our SH figure arts Koki. Koki toys. He looked cursed. Alright, let's go back to. Oh, Okay. This isn't. Matt Lesniewski was drawing live on YouTube yesterday. I saw JG. Oh, I saw Philip there too, but I only saw his comments. Fucking spread out or what the fuck? I always miss it. I haven't seen Daniel Warren Johnson stream yet. But I put it in my watch later list though. You know what? I think it's who's coolest that was there? Oh, think someone's shooting fireworks. I miss it. 11:11. I'll make a wish. 11:11. Do you like this? MUMM-RA? What do you think about Brunson, the SketchUp show? Did we get into it? Oh yeah, well we did hang out. I like that Nick Marucci was there. I like that. I hope at least he saw what we were drawing. And I hope that plants the seed in his ass. We gotta plant that seed in his ass, you know? I want about planting seeds in the asses. Or does that not matter anymore? Is such a thing not fucking, who gives a fuck about that? Is that it? Just like trying to figure out like how do we get out of this shit? How do we get our shit seen? I want us to get synced. Good turnout though. It was cool other than my piece. No, I know, and I hated that no one people didn't sell. Some pieces sold, but not all of it. So like fucking all of it should fucking sell. Ilya's there. Ilya, buy everything. I don't want to. I didn't want to bring this up earlier, but I'm gonna bring it up now because I love to contradict myself, as I always do. Ask Bob. Um, but I was watching the comic art live show earlier today. He had a bunch of people on there selling their artwork. Obviously, But one of the things, what he did have was the people that he did have on were premium seller people from the website, from comic art fans, and they were showing up. I guess they're getting ready for their show, and the sellers were previewing what they're going to be selling at the show, and the sellers that he did have on are premium member sellers on the website, so obviously they get dibs. And if you're like, if they're like super close friends, or if they have the time to do it, they'll be on the show and show off their artwork. Anyways, see, tripping off on me, just talking about nothing. But on the show, Bill did mentions that he said that, oh yeah, I like going through the oh man, I forgot what it's called, like the artist lobby, which I tried looking for and I couldn't find it. And he goes like, yeah, I like looking at the new art. So I clicked on the new art section. I clicking on the new art and seeing which characters are trending, and my ears perked up. My ears perked up, and it said, trending, you say? Let me check out who is trending. Guess who's trending? Thor, Magic. I wrote some other ones down. Wolverine. Well, this is what I did. I wrote down some names, and the names I wrote down was like me picking out the ones that I saw that I would draw. And usually on the website, it's like 3 in series of 3s, 3 images per row. So I was looking through that. And what I wrote down, well, then I did an elimination style, and what it came down to, I had 4 characters. I only did it's 4 times 3, 12 characters I wrote down, and then I eliminated it down to 4 characters. So okay, maybe I'll try these characters out for the next SketchUp show where we don't sell anything. But the names that I wrote down were, or that I went down to, was Wolverine, Swamp Thing, Hulk, and Wonder Woman. I already drew Wonder Woman, and I guess I can pick somebody else. But the 12 names that I did look at was Magnus, Robot Fighter, Captain America, Wolverine, Batgirl, Swamp Thing, Doctor Doom, Hulk, Appleseed. They had both characters. I just wrote Appleseed. Razorback, there's one guy, like the Thor fan guy. There's one guy that just collects Razorback. And now we just gotta figure out, if you want to draw Razorback, I'm not telling you what to do, is how do we loop him into, or how do we let him know that, hey, we're drawing Razorbacks. Silver Surfer, Domino, and Wonder Woman. And I eliminated it down to Wolverine, Swamp Thing, Hulk, and Wonder Woman, and I just had fun, and I eliminated it down to 2 more people, which I got to Wolverine and Hulk, and then I stopped it there, because you can't just pick one, right? But what if you did pick one? Who would it be? If you can only draw one character your whole life, is it going to be Wolverine or Hulk? I think we probably have to post clips. I'll post a clip where Sean called me rude. I guess I was rude. I don't guess I was rude. I know I was rude. I'm sorry, Sean. I do an Appleseed piece. Yeah, like all the ones I was looking at, I was like, Brunson like drew some of these already. I think I saw Thor in there too, unless I was just thinking of Thor when I saw the Razorback. Because that Razorback collector, he posted at least 3 Razorbacks that he got. Which also lets me know that some of these collectors that do collect this stuff, when they post in batches. Brunson, if can you stop commenting when I'm talking? It's kind of rude. Do you want to play the game though? Mac, you write this down. Magnus, Wolverine. I write it down for you too. Oh, and Captain America. Camp America. Who out of these? We'll play the new game. We'll play the new game. We'll play the new game, beige. The new game, beige. Bob Brunson, Magnus, Wolverine, or Captain America. Which one would you draw for your whole life? Also, I apologize. There's no music because I want to upload these to this video to YouTube, so I have content there and I can get the views up there. Hulk. Okay, we got one for Hulk. Ooh, one for Wolverine. Okay, so how are we gonna do this? Let's include both. Oh, this blue doesn't work anymore. Oh. Oh, I use a. Okay, I use a blue pencil. Okay, well, Brunson's font color on my comment on my chat window is red, so I'll use a red pen. And Brunson picked Wolverine, and I'll use blue for because I have blue pencil for Bob. Bob chooses Hulk. Pick a Hulk. All right, next batch we have Batgirl, Swamp Thing, and Dr. Doomley. Oh shit, I forgot a comma. Brunson, Batgirl. Yeah, if Swamp Thing wasn't there, I would have chose Batgirl too. I drew Doctor Doom recently. Don't mind drawing him either, but I haven't drawn Batgirl in a while. Ooh, in a long time. Oh, I should have timed this. Look at this fat head on MUMM-RA. Why is the eyes fucked up? Okay, I guess we'll go to the next one. Hulk. Appleseed. Razorback. Razorback is the Marvel Comics villain. He wears a boar's head, a razorback's head. Kind of like the rhino or Appleseed. Next one, Silver Surfer. Domino, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Wonder Woman. Oh, Domino, here we go, when about stuff flow on the back, anything from me, the one to slam, this thinking no jam when you're in this so amazing. Alright, that's awesome, Domino. Alright, so now we gotta eliminate between these two. It's down to the first two. We got, okay, so what we have now is Wolverine, Batgirl, Appleseed, and Domino. So between Wolverine and Batgirl, ooh, it's getting hot. Wolverine and Batgirl, who's it gonna be? Shit, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Wolverine. I kind of thought so too. And then Appleseed, Domino. Appleseed, Domino. So it's Wolverine and Domino. Three tops amongst this list of 12. And just for fun, Wolverine, Domino. Who is it gonna be? It's gonna be Wolverine, huh? If you want to play the game yourself, Wolverine, yeah. Yeah. And if you want to play the game on figuring out who to draw on the next SketchUp, go to Comic Art Fans, go to New Art, and look through and see the new pieces, the new characters that were drawn. I think that, I don't know if there's, unless you know a better way to find who's trending, which characters are trending, Brunson. That's the only thing, that's the only way I could think of through Comic Art Fans. And then later on in the show too, Comic Art Fans, they were going through Heritage. I think they were like, he was picking out like the pieces that he liked that were recently sold, and there were some good ass pieces, and they're like, they cost just as much as cars. I forgot what the pieces were, but they were good though. Okay, let's see, he has a fat head. What else was supposed to do? That was fun. Maybe we'll do it again next time. We should play games on this thing. Maybe that's how we get viewers, huh? Oh, this headpiece is different though. You can also look under most. Oh, very good. I'm gonna write that down. Don't forget most viewed. Most viewed and most commented. Oh yeah. I came up with a log line for you, Brunson, for Ghostman. I stripped it that log line. First, I was gonna make a log line just for my story alone, but I realized when I was thinking about the story, it's like, oh, okay, well, I can't add too much. I don't want to deviate or add too the character because it's not my character and it's not my place. That's not what we agreed to. I'm not adding stuff. I'm just continuing on what's already there. But I wrote a log line. Oh, and feel free to use it. I wrote it down here, didn't I? Oh yeah. Maybe I can type it in there too if you like it. But Ghostman, I wrote all three. I wrote Ghostman's log lines for Ghostman, Vile, and the Angriest Warrior. But Ghostman's, oh shit, what the heck? Ghostman's logline is an avenging spirit of justice employs his paranormal abilities to purge the city of its incessant crime. It's like, that's any fucking Ghostman story. Bam, you say that to anybody, they fucking get it. The easiest one, I think you've also mentioned it before, it's like a Punisher in a ghost costume. That's, but you know, if we're gonna remove all references to pop culture, keep it general, I think Bam's right there, like that. Okay. And if you were curious, here's Vile's log line. Once again, I made this log line up. I asked Warrick before, he did not provide one, so I had to make it up. Everything, you want to do it, you do it yourself. You want to get something done, you do it yourself. Here's Vile's logline. A self-centered drug addict unknowingly injects himself with a top secret science experiment which grants him enhanced abilities that enable him to not only uncover the city's truth, but to empower him on the journey towards redemption. That's a mouthful. I think the city's truth thing is in the story. I don't know if it's a city though. But there's like this underground science facility. It's almost like Resident Evil where you're on surface level, and then our main character, Jay, keeps digging down, deeper and deeper, beneath the city's surface to uncover like this giant lab. Almost this ancient lab of sorts. Maybe I'm spoiling too much. And then here's Angriest Warrior, which I mentioned on the show. Angriest Warrior, an enraged barbarian embarks on a quest to the lands of the old world to search for his missing sword. Oh shit! Why was I blocking the microphone this whole fucking time? An enraged barbarian embarks on a quest to the lands of the old world to search for his missing sword. Or the more without it, the more angrier he gets. That Vile one does a lot, though. But at the same time, too, it's like all very different log lines, and all at different lengths. The thing to consider with a log line, too. I looked it up online. I took like a beginner's movie class in school, and the first thing we learned was log line. And then the teacher asked us, "What's the log line for Terminator 2?" Break down Terminator 2. What's the log line from Terminator 2? A cyborg. Is it a cyborg? Kind of, not really. A robot from the future. Two robots are sent from the future, one to protect humanity and one to destroy it. Bam. That's it. One to protect the savior of humanity, the other one to destroy the savior of humanity. I think concise description of Potato Mummy by now. Oh, dude, you know what? I only read it once. Potato Mummy. Who is Potato Mummy? A drunk. Is he dead though? He's not a true mummy, is he? Sorry, I bought that comic. I think probably like within the first month of meeting. I got it at That Pulp Fiction, I put that book away. That's and like figuring out log lines. You can find all the log lines online, but if you can figure out a log line, someone else's log line, some other movie, comic book, whatever story's log line, that's when you know. Well, that's when it helps. It'll help you know like what the basis of the story is. What's Thundercats logline? A team of feline heroes crash land on Earth and try to survive its environments and the evil of MUMM-RA. The ever sucking. Oh, is there a potato MUMM-RA? Oh, I should have turned the jitter on. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, jitter motherfucker. Maybe in the next stream I'll write down more characters to draw. Because we don't have to draw them for the suggestions for sketch. We can like just draw it on ourselves, or if we're trying to, if we want to procrastinate yet again. Bitch. Potato Mommy property is not entirely mine, so it's complicated. No, it's not. Log lines aren't complicated. Log lines break it down in the most simplest uh premise. You do it in one sentence. Oh yeah, that's the other thing too. Uh, I I googled logline again just to make sure I knew what it was, and the definition did say 1 to 3 sentences. But if you can break down your story, your character, and their story into 1 sentence, you say that
Got it. But first you'll have to unlock your device.
You say that you can say your log line. You can spout that log line out in every. Oh no. Oh no. I think I broke the tip. It's not staying in. Oh no, I gotta. You can oh, I just lost my train of thought. Well, you can repeat your log line to in any interview. Okay, lets the audience know in the shortest amount of time what that ass is about. Oh yeah, look at this. I just say he's an alcoholic, has been B-list superhero. We see his adventures in various stages on the way down. Yeah, there you go. Bam. I just say I'm trying to figure out the logline to that. Have it turn it into a logline. I just say an alcoholic An alcoholic B-list superhero goes if it's different stories. On the way down, where though? Alcoholic has been B-list superhero gets caught up in adventures. That was a topic in recent Rogashi video. Oh, really? Huh. Is she posting on YouTube? I thought I was following her. I'll have to go look her up. Bob, it's complicated means the creator is dead. I'm the original artist. Paul Sherrar is the publisher of it. Mike. Yes. And even it's all and all of its complicatedness, you guys still managed to put out a new book. No, I don't know what this is. I'm gonna look up Super 7's version. That's what my Super 7 MUMM-RA. Please be big. Oh, maybe I make his mouth different. It was an interview she did with the Wellspring. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks. I'll go look it up. Well, we can listen to that. I cannot get hit with copyright for that, can I? The only bad thing is that Spotify has that open window, has that like free window thing open. YouTube Music does not, so now I have to look where I fucking put it. God damn it. Cool, can't find it. Awesome. Okay, cool. Okay. Comics Monster. You mind if I listen to it, Brunson? Doubt. Just gotta type in bro. Let's see if that comes up. Oh, there you go. Oh, 4 days ago. Oh, wait, what the fuck? Oh, there's two. Oh, no, there's two. Is it the long one from 4 days ago? There's also a 7-minute, I guess an 8-minute one from a month ago. I think you're talking about the long ass one. The long one, okay.
Welcome back to Inspired Inc., the CWS podcast, a show where we promote indie comic creators and become inspired by what they create and their journey of creating it. I'm your host, Brandon Blocksdorf, and today on the show we have Ro Hiyashi, creator of Half the Crown with Cosmic Lion Productions, and we talk about what it's like going from webtoons to print, and how we as a community can highlight and support more women creators, and mastering your pitch. All this and so much more on today's Inspired Inc.
Oh shit, check this out.
The spotlight. I think, you know, things you're just saying. I think, you know, one of the things you're just saying in the spotlight, kind of being on like a creative deficit right now. I find that so interesting because there's two ways when you're like a creator. You're either like absorbing a lot, which is super beneficial, you know, like you're gaining story techniques, you're discovering creators, you're like looking at methods, and you're actively, you know, studying the craft to emulate that essentially. But like if you study the craft too much and you're stuck just reading and absorbing comics, and that starts like interrupting your creative side, I think that's like way more negative than it sounds like the spot you're in, where you're just kind of focus literally on your own craft, and you're trying to make room for making, you know, like reading other materials and comics and movies and stuff like that. It's like a diet you have to balance out pretty much, you know.
I'm very I'm pretty dyslexic. So it's also makes it a little difficult to consume when I'm just really mentally tired as well. And a lot of the times, you know, you have time at the end of the day, and that's when you tend to be tired. And so I try my best to read the comics as well as study the art. But part of the art is, you know, the typeface, the you know, all of the sound effects and all of that. So it's just, I have to be in a good headspace too around that time.
Yeah, and that's probably one of the hardest things to like slide into as well. You know, when you have a family, you have like a day job, I'm sure by the end of the day for all of us, we're just like kind of dead, beat up, tired. Especially like even days that I do interviews all day, like my brain is fried, you know, like just being active and conversational and keeping up with the upbeatness. And by the time I get to my art, you know, I'm just like, I just want to watch TV. Like, I just want to like do nothing at that point.
Oh, wow.
How do you like combat, like even just being like, how do I just stick to my routine and, you know, make sure I'm hitting this every single night?
So it's definitely something that I still struggle with, kind of organizing my time. In my free time, I do a lot of stuff for the community. So currently in about 2 weeks, we are doing Yarfest, which is the first Asian music festival in the South, basically, and in Texas. And so I'm the vendor coordinator for that. And so, you know, the last 2 weeks, it's pretty crazy. And then this next coming weekend, I'm also sponsoring a local Filipino event, because it is the month of October, which is Filipino History Month. And I'm in charge, or partly in charge, of a cryptid room, Filipino cryptid room, where like I'm teaching little kids crafts and, you know, based off of some of the cryptids, and we're working on some art to decorate the walls and things. And then soon after that, I have an event in Dallas, which I was invited to by my friends, not by the event, but my friends, you know, were just pressuring me to go to it, and I haven't seen them in a bit. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll go. But I was hoping that I'd have a bunch of my comics left over to bring over there, but I only really have 4. It is sold out online.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, I'll just do my best being there, and then I'll probably try to promote. I have a better pitch now. Before, my pitch was atrocious, and I actually had a publisher at DreamCon tell me that, and that was very, very helpful. And he told me how to do a good pitch, and I think I improved that. So,
what's your secret to a good pitch at this? And what was your bad pitch too? I'm curious about that.
My bad pitch was just, okay, so my comic obviously from talking to me for just a couple of minutes, my mind is just all over the place all the time. Right. And so my pitch was also all over the place all the time. Like, I just wanted to include all of these exciting little tidbits that made me excited, that just overwhelms a reader or a potential reader. And I think up until now, people have just been very polite with me to like just sit through it, but they probably stopped listening after the first or second sentence. So what that publisher told me was that I needed to shorten my pitch to 1 to 2 sentences, preferably 1. And if I can't do that, then nobody gives a shit about what I'm saying after that. Sorry.
No, yeah, I understand. Yeah, it's true. Gripping their attention within just moments is crucial. I think everyone's attention spans, we all have 10 seconds now. Like, that's literally, if we're not captivated in 10 seconds, we almost fry out. And when you go on to like an elongated pitch, unless it's asked for at that point, like, oh, break that down more for me. Like, why do I want to hear the back end of the book summary? Nailing it in a sentence is almost vital. And that sentence has to be so curated. Like for the punk anthology, when I'm promote Teenage Babylon, I always say it's a cosmic punk rock love story. And to me, like, that formulated it. And if I don't get your attention by those chosen words, probably not gonna be too interested in the work in general. Sorry, my cat's about to just get in our face. What's your new pitch for your book?
So my new pitch is it's a story about some supernaturally gifted high school students that fight a bunch of Filipino cryptids.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's like, if that doesn't grip you or get you interested, you basically know like the type of material. I could imagine it being manga right off the top of my head with that. It's almost like slice of life-ish, like with the kid at the high school aspect of it. But you could also expect some action and somewhat adventure mystery probably tying into it all as we discover some things. Am I wrong on any of that?
Yes, that's my intent. So,
okay, perfect.
A lot of it too is, see, this is where I need to not spoil things. Just a lot of it is based off of either my own experiences or the experiences of a lot of people that are close to me. Mm-hmm. I certainly got their blessing on a lot of stuff. One of the characters based off of kind of a brother figure in my life, and his younger sisters noticed before he did. So cute. I thought that was pretty exciting that, okay, well, as if it's authentic enough that other people can recognize, I'm pretty happy about that.
Where did the love for like cryptids come from? And especially going into your own heritage about that to like unleash that? Because I find that very fascinating, opening up that new realm.
Yeah.
Like, at least us who are unknowledgeable.
Rohihashi Mishima is dead. Drum and bass beat.
It's a new realm,
Yeah. So I grew up with a lot of, gosh, I'm going to date myself here, like a lot of VHS movies that are bootlegged, and my parents would have them movies from like the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. From the Philippines, and most of the movies they had, I'd say 60% of them were about aswangs. Aswang is the word for cryptid in the Philippines. And so I remember being little, and those were my horror movies and my horror stories, and I'd be scared and I couldn't sleep at night. And so it started out as something that just was really horrific for me as a kid. But then now looking back, it was, I look back at it fondly. It's probably similar to when kids see a movie for a vampire for the first time, mm-hmm. or when they see Frankenstein for the first time. And then they grow up and realize like, oh, that was a part of my experience. And the one thing that I like specifically about Filipino folklore is that we don't really have a lot of, like, after being colonized by several countries, like a lot of our original documents were kind of destroyed. And so a lot of us don't really have like access to our like pre-colonial cultural heritage. But the cryptids and the stories that surround that kind of give, a pre-colonial mindset. And so for that, I kind of see them more as a recording of history. And I think that part's really exciting.
Yeah.
So.
That's super exciting. And I mean, it's so sad to know, especially like so much is lost in that, throughout your history. But I mean, also getting the chance to like highlight what is available and also kind of build off of that in your own way too, I think would be very fun as well.
Yes.
That's super cool. Like, so what, when you're growing up, like, where did drawing take place? Like, your art is phenomenal. Like, my first glance at it, and you even said it feels dated, like, and all this and how much it's grown. And I love hearing that from indie creators. But I love, like, reading a book and be like, this is blowing my mind from the start. And if this is your older stuff, I'm so hyped for volume 2 and 3. But where did the drawing in your life kind of begin and take shape?
Okay, so this is probably a story that I'm sure people who have seen my other interviews have heard countless times, but I will say it again, if that's okay. So I feel like that I was drawing comics before I even realized what comics were. When I was little, I think I wasn't very good about speaking pretty early on, but I definitely wanted to connect with people. And I remember being about a toddler, like 2 or 3. And I remember seeing an episode on Sesame Street where these kids had accidentally dropped a silver dollar down a street drain and they were trying to figure out how to get it back out. And, one of the kids chewed on some bubble gum, put it at the end of a string, and then they tied that string to a stick and they got the silver dollar out that way. And I just thought it was the best thing that I should tell everybody about, but I didn't have the words for it at the time. I think I wasn't fluent in English at the time, and then at the same time, like, my Tagalog fluency wasn't the best. And so I remember drawing stick figures, kind of scene by scene to explain. And I specifically remember not even, separating these scenes with panels, but, I would show it to everybody. And I'm sure that they just looked at it and they would smile and pat me on the head. But like, I was very satisfied with that response. And I just realized, like, oh, this is a way that I can communicate and that I can, kind of get things across. And I did grow up with both of my older brothers, like, on our way home from elementary school, stopping by the corner store to get comics. Unfortunately, my exposure to a lot of like American comics were just mostly the covers. And I don't think I got to actually see inside of them until high school or like late university when, I started to read a lot of Vertigo comics. Cool. But my brothers were they seemed more interested in the how can this comic make me money later? So they would look at it briefly on the way home and they would bag and board it and put it away. We'd never see it again.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So, I really wanted to see that stuff. But specifically for manga, when we would go to the grocery store, they used to have like a Japanese comic store attached to it. And I used to go up there and a lot of them were really cheap, and they still are if they're in Japanese. And at that time, I just, realized I don't even need to be able to read a lot of this because it's so expressive that I can guess, how it is. And so I felt like I could just save up a little bit of my lunch money and buy one for about $5 and then just bring it home. And it was one of those things that, like, I don't think my brothers were interested in it. And certainly my parents weren't either. So it was something that I could just kind of keep for myself. And that's so the one thing that no one took away from me at the time, because I wasn't allowed to. I grew up in a very strict traditional household, and my dad believes that specifically girls shouldn't have a lot of material items, but I guess that was one of those things. For some reason they just let me have, so I got that.
Yeah, maybe like the one thing that they knew just made you happy at that point too, and maybe encouraged you. That's super awesome. That's very interesting too. And I love, like, you felt like kind of for manga, you kind of found your way into it. And there's this Warren Ellis book, and it talks about how we all consume comics and what it is about comics that get us to be hooked on them. And his book is called I believe it's called Coming Alone, and it's basically one of those things where we discover comics on our own terms. We find our love for them on our own terms, and they're what we read probably when we're by ourselves and kind of excluded from most of the world. And I feel like that totally fits like your definition of what kind of brought you into this world of, you know, manga and comic book art. And it's kind of cool hearing, like, you know, you're in that vertigo time, you know, collecting and reading comics, but this is what got your attention. But the expressionism behind manga, you're right, it's so much greater than, I would say, American comics. It feels like there's more storytelling within the art than sometimes even through the words and, you know, captions and whatnot. Do you feel like you learned storytelling in a very different way than just being like, oh, this is act one, this is act two? Do you just learn about the fluidity of storytelling through reading or, you know, glancing at manga?
So I can't remember if I remembered this part in manga school. I think I did. It's where they said that, you know, by the end of a page, it has to be almost sort of a cliffhanger. So, you know, the person would turn the page. And then also one thing about manga, which I think a lot of people have a love-hate relationship with this part, is that you want to make the reader feel rewarded for reading it. So, for example, One Piece, they reference a lot of things that you would see at the very beginning. So the people that were there since day one feel rewarded because they're like, oh, I remember that, you know, when I first got into it. And so I think those are really good storytelling things. And the thing that I am appreciating more about American comics is that there's a lot more, I guess, mature themes. And you do have more mature themes in Japan, but I feel like maybe because, you know, I'm I'm in America, I'm an American, I kind of relate more to a lot of the mature themes in American comics. But my comic right now is geared towards like a more young adult like audience, and so I think I'm focusing more on that at the moment. And so for right now, a lot of popular manga is probably going to influence me more at the moment.
Yeah, you know, what's crazy about manga in general is that there's like a story for anything and everyone. It's very different from American comics. Like, I think indie comics are the closest thing we'll ever get to like feeling like manga, with like the uniqueness and diversity in storytelling above anything else.
Yeah, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, but I feel like George Jimenez. I feel like his stuff is the closest thing that you'll see to people who have accepted the manga style, but for an American comic. And no matter what kind of series he's working on, I just can't get out of my head that, oh, wow, this is totally manga influence, like way more than American comic influence. And so I hope I don't piss off a lot of people by saying that, because I know there's a lot of people who just really have a disdain for the manga style, and particularly about like the eyes. I feel like a lot of people have an issue with the eyes, but the eyes is definitely a cultural thing that is reflected on there. So if you have ever seen like a Japanese reality show, a lot of people are kind of shocked to see that like from here down on the face, there isn't a lot of facial expression. And that's not because people aren't feeling anything, but that's just the politer thing to do. And so a lot of the expressions and things that people are feeling, you're going to see in their eyes. And so that's reflected a lot in the comics, you know, where they put more emphasis on the eyes. And that's why they can get away with like the mouth moving very minimally in a lot of animations. And so I think when people miss that, like they just see it as, oh, this is being lazy, or, you know, oh, the eyes are nice, but then that's it, you know? So it's, I think when you have the cultural context for it, then it makes a little bit more sense. But I'm noticing too, especially spending this year being in indie comic spaces, that not a lot of people would be interested in reading my comic if they have like a disdain for that sort of thing. So
yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. I'm not too sure if he goes by George Jimenez or Jorge Jimenez, but he's phenomenal.
I wasn't sure about that either. I've heard both.
Yeah, so same here, actually. But he's phenomenal. He's one of my favorite creators out there right now. Probably one of my favorite DC artists that's been on, you know, the Bat books and Justice League and all that type of stuff. And I'm always attracted to like literally expressive his art is. Like when he shows a figure and they're flying, or there's so much more energy and power. And it never clicked in my head until right now when you said it, that he probably has a large manga influence. But that, just thinking he's European, he's Spanish, like that makes sense. But yeah, that totally makes sense. It's very along those routes with like the design of characters, like just the way his pen works and everything. It clicked in my brain completely.
It's got that like American comic fluidity and a lot of the anatomy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, in terms of the contrast between the character and the background, I feel like that is 100% manga. I don't see that clear of a contrast between the characters and their movement and the background and the other toning and stuff outside of manga very much in the way that he's doing it. I mean, so I'm pretty excited. I feel like that a lot of artists are like kind of mixing different kind of cultural influences, and he is very much proof of like how that can just be amazing. And in my opinion, I feel like it's almost better than just manga and just, American comics, because he was able to take two things that he mastered from both scenes. And so like that's just bringing something new to the table, and it's great on the eye. And I'm just always excited to see more of what he does. So
yeah, completely. He's the one artist I do follow, and I'm just like, I want to see what book you're gonna do next. I'm waiting for an indie book from you to see what you kind of come up with. That's so exciting to hear. And also like flaws about manga I had no idea about, just like what you're saying about, I knew there was a lot of expression in the eyes, but I didn't realize like why there was less expression, like with like their cheeks and their mouth and everything, and how they do movement. But I didn't know that was like a polite way to kind of just create things.
Even the way that I'm moving my hands around, my mouth moves, like, and I smile every now and then. Like that's not something that you would see, I think, in Japan. So I have a story about my friends that were here for about 2 years, and they were near the end of their 2 years here, they got a flat for the first time in America. And they got out of the car and, after stopping it on the highway, and they looked at the wheel or the tire, I should say. And the husband, was laughing about how his wife looked at the wheel and went like that. Because that kind of reaction wouldn't normally happen in Japan. And he was laughing like, oh man, you've been here for 2 years and you're already having an American facial expression. So, just to kind of emphasize that those kind of things that we don't see as expressive, essentially, is very much an expressive thing over there. So
wow, that's super fascinating actually. And I feel like if I go back and look at books and everything, watch a few different shows, that's going to make a lot more sense as I start to keep that in mind with things. So what got you to like really go into this manga school? How did that path open up and get you to pursue it? We know that running a crowdfunding campaign is tough, and that's why Comics Wellspring wants to help you out. We offer an exclusive crowdfunding partnership program when you print with us and mention us in your campaigns.
We were just friends in manga school. So
back to our conversation with Ro. You're good.
How I got into manga school. So I had met my husband in university, actually, and we were just friends back then. And then he had heard that I had gotten a job in Japan, because I got it a year before I graduated as like an English teacher. I graduated in linguistics, and I didn't start out in linguistics, but I had some pretty strict parents at the time that were just like, hey, if you don't change your major, then we're not going to cover your expenses. And so I changed it to linguistics, which was the science of language. And they only heard science, and they were okay with it after. And so after my husband heard that I got a job in Japan, he was like, hey, why don't you get, transfer to my town? So he lived in Nagoya, and I was originally supposed to work in Tokyo. So I had called the main office maybe a few months before I was going to actually move there, and they were just like, oh yeah, we definitely need more people there, so we'll transfer you. And then I lived there for a bit, and then after the first year that I lived there, I moved to another apartment, and because I had a new job at a different school, and on the way from that apartment to the job, I would always pass by this animation school, and it's a chain. It's one of those smaller schools. It's called Yoyogi Animation School, and during that time, I was coming on almost 3 years of being in Japan already, and so like fluency was better. And so my husband was like, hey, you still talk about art all the time. Why don't you think of, picking art back up? And so I was like, well, I don't know if, my fluency is good enough for that. So we went to an orientation, and I was surprised to see that 40% of the people there were actually foreigners. So you had a lot of people who were Chinese or Korean, and they were there to just kind of get their certificate, and then they would go back to their country and then work in the studios there. And so they were like, hey, if they can be here and with like little to no fluency, like you can try. And honestly, like, we don't have an issue with communicating with you in Japanese. So, I think you can do this. And so that was very encouraging. And when I went, I panicked probably on the first or second day, because a lot of my fluency was learned by ear. And so reading and writing were just kind of a different beast. And I remember, being so thankful that the teacher would just say the same words over and over, that I just started to learn what those words meant over time.
Thanks for watching.
And there was probably, not one lesson that I couldn't go home or like during the lesson figure out on my like little flip.
Sludge Worm, thank you for joining. Everybody that's welcome to Sludge Worm. We're listening to Ro Higashi. Thank you for listening. You're curious. Welcome. Listening to. There we go. Thank you, Brunson. Drawn old MUMM-RA. We're listening to Ro Higashi on Comics Wellsprings YouTube show. Let's continue.
Phone, like, wait, what's that word mean? And it was a good experience. A lot of the students too would come and cosplay if they were women. The majority of the class were women. But the only ones that really were comfortable talking to me were, do you know what gyaru is?
No, I don't.
So gyaru in Japan is like a type of girl that they usually have like really crazy nails. They have their hair is done up. Their makeup is like over the top. Mm-hmm. And like, I would say the equivalent of their appearance is probably a valley girl that you would think in America.
Yeah, that's what I was
but their personality isn't like airheaded valley girl. It's more of a almost like a rebellious, I don't give a crap about what you think of me, and I'm just going to live my life sort of thing. And so those types were always the ones that were very welcoming towards me. And gyaru manga in Japan is like a huge thing. And so you did have like one or two gyaru students there because they were interested in creating gyaru manga.
So cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, also, like you're saying, you had mostly like a female majority class. And I find that very fascinating because I feel like, especially over here, especially as, running the show in general, I'm always trying to find a diverse amount of people to like bring on the show from, every single ethnic race and type of person you could think of I want on this show.
So I've been trying to kind of do my own little personal research about why we don't have a lot more women in our spaces. And when I say our spaces, like more print indie American comic spaces.
Exactly.
Because the majority, I'd say 90% of like the webcomic creators online are women.
Yeah.
From different cultures, different countries and everything. And I started to ask them, it's funny because even last week I went in every chat room and I was just like, hey, I have a question. And I'd say, what would bring you more into those print spaces? Because, it's crazy that I'm here and then, we're all women. And then I go, to Heroes Con, I go to Indie Comics Creator Con, and we're just, maybe you can count us all on one hand. And so they were all kind of guarded and quiet at first. But ultimately, I think in the Fantagraphics panel that they did online recently, they touched on this too. Printing online is just so accessible. It's easy. It's cost effective. You don't need to, pay a printer to do everything. And I think ultimately that's the number one scariest part is a lot of people think that printing is not affordable.
Oh, interesting.
And so they're not really motivated to look into it. Mm-hmm. And then number two, I think that, knowing that spaces like Heroes Con and like Indie Comic Creator Con and, Baltimore Comic Con, all of those creator focused cons are predominantly men, that is intimidating for a lot of women. But the only way to fix that is to just kind of get us more in there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of this weird spot that I'm in where I definitely want to stay in both spaces, but I would definitely love to facilitate or help with, more women being in those spaces. I'm just starting on this kind of personal data collecting. So that's what I've heard so
I think I only did one 6 fan arts thing
far.
Yeah, no, that makes sense completely to me. I think it's something that once I started realizing like booking people and seeing who signs up for the list and everything, and then like even with Apollo, like, running my own publishing imprint, it's been very interesting seeing the type of people I have and the team I have. I feel like I had a mixed perception as well because I started Apollo and immediately I had a very diverse cast. Like Kai Brown and Nishi were like two of the first creators I have, and I love having like an all-female creative team, along with a book called It's Probably Nothing with Hannah Williamson. And so it's just like, I have all these creators that are just emerging, but like, where is the circle here? And I notice a lot of it is within zines and stuff like that, which is kind of a different type of, comic book, type of thing that we do. True. And I'm wondering, trying to find a way to bridge, like you were saying, bridge those gaps. How do I introduce more females to like the show and bring them on?
Issues. The first one is that this was definitely true for me. If it wasn't for the encouragement of Rick Lopez and David Grom, and Jerome Cabanatan, actually, I don't think that I would have considered being in print at all. So what I discovered was that I had a lot of people following me because of my comic online, but there were like a percentage of them that actually never read my comic online. And it wasn't until I made it available for print that they read it for the first time. And I wouldn't have known that, and I wouldn't have made that jump if it weren't the encouragement of those three men in my life. And so, if you're a guy and you have a female creator that's interested in comics, like, don't discount your encouragement towards them. If they're feeling kind of iffy about being in that space, and that space, like, at the risk of appearing like you're mansplaining, I get it, but just try it. And I feel like that will help out. And then the second issue, gosh, now it's fleeting me. What did I say before the first, or what did you say before the first issue that I said?
Oh my gosh. My brain works the same way as yours. That's why I was like, we're going to vibe so hard. It was, just essentially like, finding that community and bringing them in somehow, and just like giving them that encouragement, but also showing them the accessibility and process behind it. I think that's another thing too, is like, you know, you had to figure out how to take your book and go from webtoon to, you know, print format. Do you think a lot of creators are also intimidated by like, oh, there's a whole new learning curve and I have to like go in this direction and find this whole new community when I've already found something in webtoons or tapas and stuff like that?
Yeah, there definitely is not a community for women for that sort of thing. If there is, I have not seen it. There is, you have some women here and there, but they're not involved in the community. They're usually.
How long more? We got another 30 minutes with this interview. I've already streamed for an hour and 53 minutes, so we'll just end it at the end of this interview. Bob, I did one in 2020. Okay, that's probably when I did one too.
Usually doing it on their own. And then they're involved.
What characters did you draw? Do you remember? All I remember, the character that I drew. Maybe I did too. I drew Judge Dredd, and that's all I remember.
And when I say not involved in a community, I mean like a women creator community. And so for me, for my experience, like I think I'm the only woman on Cosmic Line Productions right now. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with my comic bros. I'm okay with that. They've been my biggest defenders so far and my biggest supporters in terms of like a professional space. But I don't think my experience is unique. I think there are a lot of us women creators that are just kind of in, you know, other communities with predominantly men so far. And I'm not sure how one spearheads that sort of thing of just encouraging more women to be interested in print. And a lot of women creators too, they just also want to create and not be in the spotlight. They don't want to be at cons, you know, giving a face to the name. And I totally relate to that. I also don't want to be doing that. But at the same time, I understand the importance of doing that. So I've just been kind of doing my best and trying to put myself out there. So
yeah, it is a weird thing too. Actually, Nishi, she does a book called Soul Catchers with us, and it's actually coming out in November. I'm super hyped for that book to be released. But she doesn't post pictures of herself online. All of her archive, you would not find a single photo of herself. It's always just her face is blocked out, or she does stuff to avoid that. And I get that as well. You know what I mean? Like, and she also wants her art to speak for herself. And that's another big aspect as well, because, you know, and I hate to say it, you know, it's one of those things, but it's like when you Google comic book creators, like you're going to get 95% is just going to be like older white dudes. And like, that's what you're going to see when you Google, you know, you get your Frank Miller, your Will Eisners, your, you know, Scott Snyder's and all this type of stuff. And I feel like just that in general, how like the mass public has put comic book creators, it just like, oh, it's just like a male dominated field. And
and then but you know, like I said, with webcomics, it's predominantly women, right? And then in Asia, over 60-70% of the creators are women. All print, you know, the mangas that people read, you know, I think Jujutsu Kaisen is created by a woman. And that's a really popular one. So it's it's very normal, but I think in Asia you can really get away with not putting a face to your name. And then at the same time, they don't really have like comic conventions. Other than they do have like doujinshi conventions, but those are kind of, how do I say? Though you're not really allowed to make money at doujinshi conventions. And so what I mean by that is, especially if you have fan art of any kind, it's against the law to sell for profit. So if you have fan art and you are selling it, or if you have a fan comic and you are selling it, you have to sell it for as much as you paid for it. So let's say that you're selling a charm and you bought that charm at $3. And, you know, here you see creators here, like they'll buy a charm for $3 and they'll sell it for 15, right? In Japan, you have to sell it for $3. And then you have to have like this little cut paper like inserted in the package saying that like this is not for resale, you're not allowed to, this is not official merchandise, like you cannot make money off of this product. And like that, everyone is very strict about like covering their own ass. And so in that way, a lot of the original works that people sell are kind of the same deal. If they're not really allowed to make a lot of money off of just selling one comic book, probably the most expensive one you'll see is maybe $5 or $6, like American, for like your full-on comic book. And that's, that's not making anyone money. But I guess the whole point of it is it's geared towards like the passion for it. And then so if you're thinking about like, well, how are you going to make money at these events? Like those events, I've come to find, are more about the community than they are about making money. So they do have, like, I think in Nagoya they have like a monthly or every 2 months called Circle Convention. And so the word circle in Japanese is more a group. And so you do have, it's very common to have different kinds of circle groups in Japan. So you'll have like, and it's usually meant to be like someone's main, I guess, bread and butter for their social interaction too. And so when you think about it that way, a lot of the circle conventions do have, each table features like a different circle, and those are usually women.
Wow.
And we don't have anything like that here, I think, where it's just,
I know of.
It's more focused on, hey, we are a social group. We create, this is some of the stuff that we create. And so I'm not sure how to bring that stuff here without, because I don't want to disrupt or discontinue the current culture of, things like Heroes Con or whatnot. So I hope that people can figure out a way to kind of bring those things into our events without, I guess, diminishing whatever is going on already. I think if people can find a way to preserve that, that would be the best thing.
Yeah, that's definitely something we might talk about off air too. That'd be very, very interesting to see how, because that's the best thing about like doing what we do, especially at Comics Wellspring, is that we're trying to
Galactus, Jeff Tate, Snake Plissken, Roy Walker, Pet Freddy's Cat, Heartless Tinman. It's on my IG. That challenge was part of me getting back into focusing drawing.
to bridge communities and create communities and like safe spaces for creators. So like finding ways to help integrate that into, you know, IC3 and stuff like that. I think it's very possible. It just takes like who understands the concept and how do we have the team to execute this concept. But I think you're right. It's something that's almost a necessity. I mean, especially because so many very much like I feel like it's more international creators are exactly what you're speaking. We have this amazing French artist Mari Morgan, and she's doing 2 books with Apollo, Sugar Rush and Bloody S'mores, and they're that manga influence. I've been posting about it and sharing her work like crazy, but she has like, she doesn't show who she is online. She doesn't really have like a big circle where she's at or conventions and things like that. So everything that she's interested in doing is very much in the States. And I'm thinking like, you know, I'm the way they organize things internationally in different countries and like how they have these communities is just radically different.
So I guess one thing that I just realized that I feel like it's important to point out, since the majority of creators are women internationally, and especially with webcomics, there is a huge feeling of really being guarded, especially in the webcomic community, because you do have a lot of webcomic publishers that are very predatory of a lot of these women creators. And so a lot of them are, I think they're also too scared to make that jump to find a publisher and fear that there'll be something like a lot of the web comic publishers. And so what I mean by that, to get into more specifics, is that let's say that you become an original series. All the, you know, IP is created by you, and you sign on with them. What you're doing is you're signing away your own creative rights to whatever you're doing. So if for any reason you can't continue because of creative differences or whatever the reason, you're not allowed to continue with your own IP anymore, because essentially they're IP now.
Yeah.
And so there's been a lot of controversy recently with webcomics about that sort of thing. And a lot of the people that are being taken advantage of are women. So when you say that there's not a lot of women creators, there are. They're just not in the same spaces that we're in. I would almost argue that I feel like there's more women webcomic creators than there are like male indie comic creators.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah. So I think if there is a publisher that is just really upfront with a lot of female creators that like, hey, this is what you get. We're not going to do, what they're doing. So for example, one of the reasons why I signed with Cosmic Lion is because Eli was really great about, hey, no, that is your creation. I am not going to tell you what to do with your creation. Like if, you don't work with us anymore, like it's not that like we keep your, characters or your story or anything. And since he was so upfront about that, that's what kind of put me at ease immediately. And I just think there needs to be more publishers like that.
Yeah, that's essentially how Apollo runs too. I think that's probably why Mari and some people really feel comfortable signing with us, is that your creation's your own. We are a megaphone, especially being an independent. I run out of everything out of like my studio and my living room. Like we're a very indie, independent punk rock organization. And all my creators know, like, hey, if you find a better publisher that's going to take your stuff where you want to take it, or if you find like a better advantage of doing this by yourself or something, like by all means, like you could walk away whenever you want to. You're not under a contract with us at all. And we do everything to kind of give back stuff to the creator. Luckily, we haven't had a creator step away from, of course, we're so new too. We're like a year and a half old.
Yeah.
But it's
and
something that
happens with some people. So sometimes it's not always a dramatic thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And some people, especially like, just need a mental health pause or break. And that's why we're really lenient on releases, and our calendar is always flipping around, is that we, LKC's signature, slogan is treating artists like humans. And that's the main thing. You just have to be like understandable. And if you put yourself in their situation, a business stance, like, okay, we'll see what makes sense. Like what deal sounds good to me as an indie creator that I think another creator would like as well. And knowing, comic book history and, all this stuff that's gone on, you could hear and still see, obviously, how easily it is for creators to, excuse my language, but get fucked over by publishers and lose their work and their art and just like credibility. And then having to start all over again is just, it's hard enough to get this going. And I couldn't imagine, you have a life slip up or just something happens and there's a disagreement and you lose all your work. That's just, it's cruel at that point, like I can't imagine operating like that ever as a, publisher. But that's really cool. It also brings a lot of clarity of like, oh, cool, we are doing stuff right, in certain metrics and whatnot, for hearing this stuff from you as well. When it comes to like, your storytelling and your pacing, being webcomic wise and talking about that page flip versus that scroll, when it comes down to formatting your comics now, are you looking for those page turn moments still? Are you still like thinking in that scroll aspect? How do you balance the two out at this point in your brain? 'Cause I'm sure there's some habits there that have really dug in.
So I love the scroll up format because I can just focus on just creating the art without thinking about that. So I would say that it's really, you can't be married to your art at all. And it's a very good idea to have a really high resolution to your art when you're working on it. So for a lot of webcomics, they have like 800 pixels, right? For width, because that's usually like on a cell phone or an iPad. That's what they got, and for the screen resolution. And I think that a lot of people will only double it and maybe make it like 6 when they're working on their original manuscript, and only make it like a 1600 tops, for resolution. And I think past me, who is really obsessed with having higher resolution, just in case. And I think it's better to work at 3000 or 4000 pixel width with a lot of these things, because when you are reformatting it for comics, like for print comics, I should say, you don't know if you're going to zoom into that panel and use that as a panel, or if you're going to, use the whole thing. And so if you want the art continuing to look as crisp as it does, it's better to be safe than sorry. So I'm glad that Past Me did that. I think Past Me. And then another thing is that, what I said earlier, you can't be married to your art. So if you're let's say you worked on this panel for like 5 hours, you're very proud of it. But when you're reformatting it for print, you have to cut off like 80% of it, because it just will mess with the flow otherwise. Because there are certain languages, like communication languages, that work for scroll up, that makes it necessary for all of that art to be there. That doesn't work for print. So for example, if you have a character that is running, and then there's in the scroll up version, and there's a lot of white space, and the white space there is supposed to give space for the speech bubble, and the speech bubble in scroll up comics has to be like near the middle. That's for a lot of letters and typefacers, like that's the ideal place to put the speech bubble. But then when you put it for print format, it just looks like empty white space that doesn't do anything. In the scroll up comic, it like conveyed confusion and just kind of like anxiety about like, oh my gosh, what's beyond here? But in the print, it's like, you don't need that because it was already conveyed through the pacing and, or whatever. So then you have to cut off all that space. And sometimes the white space is like a whole background that you spent a long ass time doing.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think not being married to your art and focusing more on like what is going to tell this story better for both print and scroll up, like you really need to be very fluent in that. And that's one of the things that I thankfully obsess over. I'm trying to make sure that every space has a meaning, and like even where the characters are facing, I want that to also convey like an easy movement. One of the criticisms that I got in manga school was that I whipped my camera around too much. There was too much camera movement. And so that is one of the things that I try to make sure I'm not doing. And I think Rick had pointed out one time, he's just like, okay, you whipped your camera around like 180 degrees. Like, can you make sure that makes sense? And so I'm glad that I also have peers that also look out for me in those types of situations as well. I think if you surround yourself with like the right people that you trust creatively, like that's really good. And, shout out to David Grom. I would never have met any of these people. Probably I would never have met you if David didn't bring me on to work on indie grand designs. So
cool.
I had inked a couple of things in there for Ben Granoff. And I also learned a lot from Ben Granoff as well. So he was kind of the first artist that I had like a big exposure to, or that I worked with in the indie comics, American indie comic space. And so I think that's crucial, is having a good peers and everything, and then people that you creatively trust. Because I think if you have too much creative differences with another creator, like you're gonna butt heads about how to accomplish certain scenes and do certain things. But ultimately, my friend Michael McCaskill, who's a writer, and he is someone that I heavily consulted with for the story of Half of the Crown, he had told me that also one of my biggest flaws is that I get worried that my reader doesn't I don't trust my reader enough to understand what I'm saying. So I think having confidence in what you're saying and like getting your message across is also key. So even though you're just thinking, oh, you just draw pictures on a page, like it's really there's a lot of intellectual self-reflection that you have to do, I think, in terms of creating comics. And I think if you continue to do those things and just see it more like as a journey rather than like constant failure,
Yes.
That's probably best.
100%. That's the best mindset to have, is like knowing it's a journey, that you're growing with every drawing, that with every step it's a bit of advancement. I think overall, like, you know, making comics and putting it out there, it's hard and it's difficult. And when you're hard and difficult on yourself, on top of that, you're just adding to that stress and the anxiety and that impossibility of it getting completed too. But you're completely right about surrounding yourself and finding a group and a community. You know, I think there's no way Apollo would be where it's at without, you know, Alex Batts and, you know, Max Flowers and Mark Bernal and like the support we've had. But also, like, we, you know, being a podcast, we had like a bit of fandom from our podcast as we started publishing comics. What was it like for you and your fans bringing them over to print? Have you had like a good reaction to that, a mixture of fans discovering new things? And what was your audience like with Webtoons and Tapas versus what you've now done with the indie community?
So I guess having your stuff in print is seen as an end game, actually, for a lot of webcomic creators. Like if it reaches to a point where they feel they have enough of a fan base to sell print stuff, like that's a dream for them. So I'm learning that that a lot of people have just assumed, oh my gosh, she's made it, because she's she's starting to do that. I would be more realistic in saying that, like, that's just also part of the beginning of it all. Like I said earlier, you know, I didn't realize that a lot of people didn't read my comic until it was in print, because there is a population of people out there that don't want to read a comic on their cell phone or their iPad. And
it's weird how they look down on it sometimes
at all.
Like,
yeah, and a lot of them sheepishly admitted that to me after they bought my comic in print. That it's just like, sorry, I didn't really want to read it, but I read it now, and I'm like, wow. I mean, thanks for reading it now, though. That's pretty great, you know. Yeah. So I think if you're really wanting to have more eyes on it, going print is a must. And that was one of the things I learned. And another thing too was that I'm used to conventions. I've been doing conventions full time for a while. And what I'm learning at comic creator focused conventions is that there's a lot of egos. And so there's a lot of tiptoeing around and trying to figure out what the other person is comfortable with when they're talking about creating whatever they're creating. So, for example, the resources that they use or whatever. I guess you could call it gatekeeping, but I don't think that that's correct either.
Like
I don't
holding their secrets. You know what I mean? Like, some people are very open on opening up with any. I'll give you any resource I have, like, and I try to share it with the show. Like,
yeah. So I'm kind of like you, where like I'm open. Like, if people ask me, you know, how did you get this? Where did you get that? Where did you print this and that? Like, I don't see any issue with telling them exactly what I did. But I think, you know, a lot of people are just worried that, you know, what they're doing may not be what another person's doing. And so I think, you know, people are guarded because they don't want to be judged, not necessarily because they're gatekeeping or something. But I think tiptoeing more around those kind of conversations I'm still learning how to do that. So I think at Heroes, maybe I came off as too clueless when I was talking to certain people. But one guy, like, and I ended up being stuck in him lecturing me for about 45 minutes about how to do comics without realizing that I already do comics. And so, you know, it's one of those things like, oh, is this because I'm a woman?
I was going to ask, is this like mansplaining to a certain extent?
I don't even know what it was, to be honest. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of situations where I'm like, is this sexism, or is this just like I came off and gave the wrong signals? I still am determining that, I'll be honest. Like, I don't know. I often forget I'm a woman in these spaces until someone starts acting like that towards me. And then I'm like, oh, right.
Yep.
So, but I would almost encourage, again, more women to be in those spaces and to kind of have that headspace, because I think, you know, if we keep focusing on, oh, I can't do this, or they're treating me like this because I'm a woman, it's just going to perpetuate that whole thing all the time, and then we won't be in those spaces. So so number one thing that I've learned is that with women owned creative spaces, there's you can get along with people as long as you show and put in effort to show care, like genuine care for their craft and interest in what they're doing. That's enough for a lot of women creators. But for a lot of male creators, I've learned that they want to hear more about the technical skill of their craft. And so I think me having to learn those two different styles is very healthy for me. And I'm still doing it.
Yeah, it's a process, and I mean, especially for how long you've been in, like, either one of us have been involved in like conning and stuff like that. You kind of have to experience some of these things to figure out the flaws and like the ins and out of it as well. Like every bad experience turns into like, okay, well, at least that was insight, and I know how to like maybe readjust and reposition this whole manner. But a lot of it is, I mean, just being a male-dominated space, I could see that happening almost no matter what in some instances, which is very unfortunate. But I think we're both part of groups that are very much trying to change that and alter that and be more inclusive and safe in general for all of our creators, no matter what. That's something about conventions and just putting your work out there. There's something about it that it's always a risk, and you're finding where you fit in certain cons, work best for some people, and certain cons don't work for some people. And Heroes is another one of those that's like I've heard mixed reviews from everybody. Some people sell great. Some people are like, well, it's good for networking.
That's true. There's kind of not a lot of in between. It's either it was disappointing for them or it was just off the charts for them.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the same way with some of these spaces. It's like, I didn't sell great at Heroes, but my community in Buffalo was phenomenal, and I killed it. 2 weeks later.
I went to Heroes not expecting to do great because I only did have like a foot and a half of space, and I still think that it was a good experience for me because I went in with the headspace of like, okay, this is a different social space that I'm used to. Let's use it to network, to kind of learn how everything's doing, see what other people are doing. I think that's the most important part about these spaces that I think especially women should also take away from this, because the male creators are already, they know this and that's why they're there. It is so important to see your own work in print because it does look different than it does on a screen. And then at the same time, seeing how it measures up, not in like a overly competitive way, but seeing where, the space that you're taking up in comparison to your neighbor's space and whatnot. And just kind of, you can only figure out what works for you when you're actually in that space. You're only going to figure out what works for print when you actually make it in print. And I think, in webcomic spaces, you put something out online, you don't like it, you can go in and you can change like a panel if you want and re-upload it and stuff, but you can't do that in print. Like, you want to change like a whole page, you gotta spend money on the minimum for printing that whole thing out again. And I think just that like women are very geared towards low risk, and I think more men are more accustomed to doing higher risk things, right? And so I think if we can just show that it is not as high of a risk as people are worried about, and I think that is one of the things that will bring more people into the space. I know I'm sounding very evangelical about all of this, but I really think that just if you're just thinking about it and you're a woman or like non guy person, like I think that you should just, you're already like 50% there. So go ahead and make the other 50% jump. And because like these spaces, I think it's really amazing. Like the past few years, I would say how much they've changed, how much indie comics have emerged just from the pandemic. There was a lot of people that realized like, oh gosh, this is what I want to be doing. It's one of the good things of the pandemic that came out. Right. And I think that women are missing this train if they continue to stay out of it. And so I just want to keep and strongly encouraging people to just, well, even if you're a dude and you're already just thinking about it, 50% there, like, go ahead, make the other half jump.
Yeah, and make the mistakes. Like, you'll have people to bounce back and help you out and like kind of recover from that too. And Comics Wellspring, we're here trying to support every creator out there, and that's a big gap that we're trying to fill. I mean, I do these shows so much, and I've recorded so many episodes already and met so many creators. It's like I'm just trying to keep everything fresh and exciting, but it's like also like I want to find these creators to understand their point of view. How can we change the community? How can we make a dent in conventions and really highlight creators more? Like, all of these assets are here waiting, so now we just need to help discover these people and give them the safe space to like come and represent their work and come into the print world as well. And I think we're slowly going to be making a mark and be doing that, especially with the help of creators like you, it's been phenomenal getting to know you this past year and bringing you onto the virtual con and like hanging out at Heroes and all that type of stuff. And you're just one of those prime examples of like you can do it if you go out there and put yourself out there and take the risk and see what the results are, because it seemed to be flourishing for you over the past year, which is tremendously exciting for every creator.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all of those comments.
Well, Ro, this has been an amazing hour of just fun conversation. So insightful. There's so much to take away from this from all creators, from all types. I can't wait to kind of bounce back and re-listen to it, because you name dropped so many cool things I want to like look into and like kind of invest into it a bit too. But before we sign off, do you want to let all of everybody know where to find your work and maybe any con plans you may have for 2025?
Oh, okay. So this is Ro Higashi signing off, and I am the comic creator of Half of the Crown, which again is about a group of supernaturally gifted high schoolers that are fighting a bunch of Filipino cryptids. You can find me on Instagram at Ro.Higashi on Instagram. And then also you can find my webcomic most up to date on the Webtoon app. And you can find my comic for print. It's currently sold out online for the first run, Half of the Crown, at cosmiclionproductions.com.
Awesome. I can't wait. And I will be bugging Eli about a reprint soon. So we'll definitely talk about that. Ro, it's been amazing. And I'm always excited to talk to you. So thank you so much for your time today and everything you do in general. And for our audience, thank you for tuning in for another episode of Inspired Ink. Don't forget, we have new episodes dropping every Tuesday. We have our live drawing show, Spilled Ink, every Thursday night live on YouTube. And we have so many new updates that I can't even start to list them off here. Check out all of our ads. But also keep an eye out on our...
That was cool. Oh shit, I took it. Goddamn thing. Do you think females are held back from drawing comic? As a musician and artist, I feel like we all encourage females drawing creatively. Now, what I do notice is that in almost every interview, I want to say every interview, but I cannot be finite. But in interviews and conversations with females, with the ladies, if there's like a group conversation, when a girl's off, he always gets interrupted, and then she always has to shut the fuck up, and you can just see it in her face. She goes like, oh, Someone's talking, so it's interrupting me. She automatically stops talking. Every time. I see it every time. And whenever that happens, I have to bring it up. Like, oh, did you say something? I'm over it. I will be over it. If people want to talk over, interrupt, let them interrupt. Now I don't think the three of us, and just four watching. I hope that the four of us aren't, well, I hope the four of us are encouraging. I know we are. But you have to have noticed, like other people that do not. There's people that comment and troll. If it's not in, like maybe it doesn't happen in the real world, you'll read comments. Being real fucking here, I'm fucking living it out right now. Rose, only female comic creator I know personally. Did you say females get cut off in group interviews? Yes. Group interviews, group just regular friendly conversation in IRL, in real life, and on the internet to get cut off. Oh, why am I reading these comments? I don't need to read these comments. But there was a comic, you can go look her up, Gabby Lamb. A recent post. Let me see if it's still a recent post. She posted all these comments that were just not great. Oh, Gabby Lambie. Okay, phone don't focus. Good. Phone don't focus. Phone don't focus. Good. I am introducing another female unit to the Ink and Drink next month for the record. Now introducing female unit, new female unit. Hey. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, Rosie Knight, but I don't know her that well. I just know who she is. Rosie Knight. She worked on Godzilla, some Godzilla books, IW. That's it. Who else works in comics? That's it. My friend Kid, who's in college now, art major. Yeah, it's supposed to end. Should I keep going or can we end it here? Say you. Or maybe we can hang out and do it. Yes, I think it's just done those two. Maybe we can hang out and do it. Yeah. I'm listening to Theme from E.T. by Future World Orchestra. Wow. It's like Electrical Light Parades or E.T. With your Spotify menu, you can't even hear it, can you? Oh shit, you can! Damn it, god damn it. You're supposed to hear that. I'm gonna get knocked on YouTube. Bob, I canceled my Spotify. I'm using YouTube Music now. God damn it, I wasn't paying attention. Fucking stupid! So fucking stupid. We can color one though, right? Can you just go ahead? Can just dumbass color one at least? Do you ever feel like a dipshit? Because you forgot to do something. You ever feel like a dipshit or ruins your day? Of course, Bob, you're white. You can do no wrong. Bob, you can do no wrong. Remember that. Oh shit, what the fuck? What is this crazy? Can I do? This is crazy. Can I do such a thing? Fuck. Oh. Damn. Damn, I'm right? Is that what you meant? Oh, damn. Oh, that's right. See, that's why I don't like using this. I'm not used to this. What else is red? All of that? Oh, that's black. That's black on this thing right here, this crown. I hope I'm doing this right. Because, this feels weird. Maybe I should get that one. I'm posting my 6 farts in text for chat Discord, okay. Ooh. Those procreate shortcuts. I need them procreate shortcuts, bitch. Okay, so we're not gonna call it that. We're gonna go with the blue. We're gonna go with the blue. But as a matter of fact, we will go with the yellow first. I can see it, so I can see clearly now. Man, I still didn't get it. Opposite of blue is orange. Maybe yellow. Yeah, yellow for primaries. I'm learning a lot tonight. What have you learned? That I was rude on SketchUp to our host, Sean Lenihan. I also learned that how to clench, how to tighten my clench. You must learn to tighten your clench. Red, what's the most of this color? About being right. OKARUN, where's my OKARUNs? Oh. Oh. Oh, can I just do that? I'll just do that shit. Fucking beige, okay. Don't. This is too dark though. I don't know when to use this gray. I think I used it before and I printed it and it did not. It was too dark. Oh, you know what? Maybe because I didn't use the CMYK. Can you see what I'm doing? Okay, good. Oh, come the fuck on. Hey. I used blue. Blue monotone colors. Should just I need to make a breakthrough in my coloring for printed comics technique. I don't know. Color. Should put this. Ah, look at that. Oh shit, I don't even... What the heck? So oh fuck. So fucking stupid. I didn't do that. I'm not doing that. We'll do this one too. It got boring, huh? This can just be. Oh, no. Oh, 3 colors. Oh, this is blue. The hell? Dang, what a boring ass. Oh, but this has yellow and blue. I'm gonna do that one. What color does the darkest one? See, you can't see shit. And what's the background color? Let's just do a red, huh? Let's just do a red, huh? All right, it's done. I gotta log up and came in and recognized the hooker. All right, Bobby, take it easy. Thank you for watching. That's it for me. Thank you for watching. Oh yeah, see, look at that. Using the small iPad to draw this. Let's go through them again. Oh, can you see the lag? A very slight lag. I'm just curious. Still don't like this MUMM-RA. Looks like a. Feels like he's saying. All right. Good night. I'll catch you next time. Thank you for watching. We give shout outs to Brunson, Gazilcher, and who's that? Sludge Worm. Peace.